Hey everyone, this is Big Mike, and I wanted to make a real quick video because Comic-Con is coming up. It actually starts today. Tonight actually. San Diego Comic-Con International. We're going to hear a lot of slates coming up for DC and Marvel projects and all things pop culture. So I wanted to make a quick video about Marvel versus DC. So I wanted to talk about the movies, the comics, and also the animated series and or movies that both parties have come out with. And I want to see if you agree with me. So drop your comments below after the video and see if you agree with me, disagree with me, or just if you have any other different comments than I may have. So let's start with Marvel and let's start with the movies. So in 2008, Iron Man was the first MCU movie to come out. And ever since then, they have done a groundbreaking job into setting up 10 plus years, 20 plus movies of consecutive continuity that will not be seen, I don't think, anytime soon by any other company. I mean, they took their time and painstakingly built a universe that people became to love and know and made great movies. Now, they did stumble a few times. Let's be realistic. A lot of people didn't like Iron Man 2 or 3 too much. Thor: The Dark World gets a lot of hate, just to name a few. But overall, Marvel has done a great job building their universe and keeping the audience engaged in what they have. Now, let's go to DC. When they started their DCEU. Now, their first movie was Man of Steel. A lot of people don't like that movie. I'm gonna say I think it's underrated. I actually really enjoyed it. A lot of reasons why people don't like it is because it shows Superman kill Zod at the end when he snapped his neck. That wasn't a deal breaker for me. When it first happened, I was kind of like, oh, like Superman really doesn't kill. But I was like, okay, let's see where it goes. It wasn't too bad. Then Batman vs Superman. Yeah. Then right after that, okay, we got Justice League. No, Wonder Woman. We had Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman was a really good movie. Now, then we had Justice League. If Zack Snyder had finished his, idea, would it have been better? We'll never know. I just feel like DC entrusting Zack Snyder with their entire universe may not have been the smartest thing that they could have done. So that being said, Aquaman, good movie. Really enjoyed it. Made a lot of money. Let's see, not Captain Marvel, Shazam. Arguably, they have the same name, DC Marvel. But yeah, Shazam, really fun movie, really enjoyed it, step in the right direction. So let's break down what Marvel and DC have done differently in their movie universes. So Marvel entrusted Kevin Feige to build their universe painstakingly, and he has done a great job doing so. When DC hired Zack Snyder, he had done The Watchmen, which was pretty much panel for panel, word for word of the comic. I think he did Sucker Punch. That was weird. But DC said, okay, Zack Snyder, make this whole universe. I don't think I would have done that. I would have took somebody maybe like Jeff Johns, who reshaped their universe in the comics, and maybe put him in charge and say, okay, build our universe, do what Marvel's doing, right? So that was mistake number one. Mistake number two. The Disney and Marvel execs put their faith in Kevin Feige to build their universe. I feel like the Warner Brother DC execs had their hands too much in the pot, stirring around and saying, statistics say that this generation wants to see this, and we like this character, and we want this to happen. No, listen to the fans. Listen to the fans, what we want. I think that's another way DC messed up in their movie universe. That's why it's not as successful as Marvel. Also, now they're saying, oh, we're going to separate it into DCEU and just, other separate universes, like with the Joker coming out and other movies they have. And it's just like, be consistent, have a continuity. If you painstakingly build your universe as Marvel did, you would be more successful. You would focus on good stories, good movies, even take the comic storylines and keep them relatively online to what they were in the comics. Then that's how Marvel gained success. That's how DC would gain success. I think they deviate too much from what works, okay? So in the movie universes, you gotta give it to Marvel. I mean, it's hands down. You can't even argue this point with me. Marvel has made the most money. You've had 10 years of experience. People love these characters. The movies, you know, do very well, very high rated critically. They win. So let's move on to animation. In the 90s, Marvel had cartoons that everyone loved and grew up on. Spider-Man, X-Men. I don't know if a lot of you guys remember the Fantastic Four cartoon. I do. Iron Man cartoon, I remember that one too. Used to watch it. They had an Incredible Hulk cartoon I used to watch. Was pretty good. But you know, their series were really good back in the 90s. I think the best one of those arguably was in between Spider-Man and the X-Men, which I'm leaning a little bit more towards the X-Men. But DC Comics, what they're doing with their animated movie lineup, to me blows Marvel out of the water. Animated. So, Under the Red Hood, arguably one of the best animated movies ever made, in my opinion. My God, it was perfect. Even weird ones like Batman Ninja. Let's see. Oh, Flashpoint. Great movie. Great animated movie. Recently, Batman vs. TMNT. That is now one of my favorite animated movies of all time. When I was a kid, I grew up in the 80s and 90s. So Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was one of the fandoms that I fell in love with. And when DC announced the comic that they were doing, the Batman vs. TMNT comic, I was excited about it. I picked it up, I read it, I enjoyed it. The movie pretty much took what was on the panels and made an animated movie out of it. And it worked. It was very successful. It was a very fun movie. Michelangelo stole the show. I mean, all the Turtles did well. But let's talk about Shredder versus Batman. Those two fights, man, I'm talking about animated wise, a couple of the best fights you'll ever see. My God. I can go on. So in the animated department, especially with the movies, DC's animated movies they're doing right now, gotta give it to DC. What they should do is actually look at what they're doing with their animation, because what they're doing with their animation is what they should be doing in their movies, actually, their live action movies. They take good stories, which are comic based, they stick very close to the source material, and then they just make a movie out of it. And they actually focus on making a good movie, getting a good voice cast, and it works. If they did that in their live action movies, I actually believe they could rival what Marvel's doing, or at least try to catch up. So, in the comics, over the years, Marvel and DC have been up and down, with each other. One, being more triumphant, one not. Recently, as of last year, Marvel, their stocks were a little bit more than DC. They sold a little bit more than DC overall because they had more titles. They had a lot of variant covers. So the numbers are kind of askew. However, Marvel edged DC out comic-wise. Now, I feel like in the comics, they both have very good stories. It depends on what you like. Marvel has a lot of more, gritty, down-to-earth stories. You really can relate to the heroes. DC is very much so superhero. I mean, their heroes are super powerful. It's always, universe level threats, especially with the Justice League, comics and everything like that. So it's kind of like it depends on what your flavor is. Honestly, in the comics, depending on what I'm reading, I like DC and Marvel comics probably about the same, comic-wise. So, I don't know. That's my opinion. Like I said, in the movies, you got to give it to Marvel. And for the live action, for the animation, hands down, it's DC. And for the comics, it's kind of a toss-up. I mean, it depends on what you like. Their numbers are very close. They always, one up each other, year for year or whatever, but it's usually pretty close. Like I said in the beginning of this video, put your comments down below. Let me see what you think. Do you agree with me, disagree? Did I miss anything that you would like to talk about? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you can see all my latest content when I post it. And thanks for watching, and see you next time.